Good morning, it's Chad Seay from Seay Real Estate here in Richmond, Virginia. And this week I want to talk to you about how to prepare when the photographer is on his or her way to take pictures of your house prior to listing it. So the photographer's on the way, what do? I go to a lot of appointments where we've scheduled professional photographers to come in and take pictures of our listings, and sometimes I go to houses that are just picture perfect and ready to go, but that's the exception. Usually there are things that can be done, oftentimes at the last minute, to make those pictures better, to make those pictures present themselves better on the internet. So here's a few that just come to mind that I just wanted to share today, so that if you ever have a photographer on the way to your house, you can prepare and I guess limit the amount of changes that need to be made once the photographer gets there. So I go to the kitchen first as I think through things that can be done. And what in the kitchen? Well, the top of refrigerators oftentimes has bags of potato chips, boxes of this or that supplement, and various things that typically don't photograph very well. So get everything off the top of the refrigerator. And speaking of the refrigerator, magnets. I've been to many houses where I have carefully removed what seems to be 100 or more magnets from the refrigerator. My house is the same way on a normal day. And I've always, been careful to try to put them back exactly where they were. But when the picture gets taken, it just looks so much better without the refrigerator covered in magnets. Countertops, you want to limit what's out there on the countertop. Sometimes even putting away coffee makers and can openers. Certainly any food products. As little as possible is what you're going for when it comes to countertops. Leaving the kitchen and going into other rooms, family rooms, living rooms, it's very common for me to be at the house of a young couple with young children, and all the things that come with young children. The Johnny jump ups, I guess people still use those, the little exercisers and various pieces of equipment that aren't going to be removed from the house, but oftentimes can be put somewhere out of sight for the picture. It just makes for a better picture. Sometimes there's nowhere else to put them, so what do? Well, we move them all to one room, take the picture, and put everything right back where it was. That works well also. Other rooms in the house, same principle, just not a whole lot of stuff on nightstands. You're limiting the stack of books. You are limiting the things on top of the dresser. Sometimes there's colognes and different things that can be put away and just leave a simple piece or two on the dresser. That makes a big difference. Outside of the house, we've talked about before, a fresh coat of paint on the back door, some landscaping makes a big difference. Of course, that can't be done at the last minute. Also, in preparation for the photographer coming, everyone I've ever worked with likes every light in the house on. So you can do that. You can save a little time, turn every light in the house on, and the photographers tend to like it that way, including lamps and various lights that you have here and there, and windows. Good photographers want to make sure that there's uniformity across the front of the house. Most of the time that means blinds down and open, or it could mean blinds all the way up. But when the picture's taken of the front of the house, you're really going for consistency. You want every window to look the same. I'd say give some consideration to the time of day that the photographers come into your house. So if the sun is on the house, the front of the house in the morning, that's usually best. If the sun doesn't hit the front of that house until later in the afternoon, that's when I'd schedule the pictures to be taken. Those are some of the first things that come to mind. I was at a bachelor's house a year or so ago who, wow, none of this was done, and there was just a lot of stuff in every room. I mean, sometimes we will move what seems to be entire rooms out into another room for a shot and then put it all back. But that takes a lot longer. And it just typically doesn't turn out as well as if you give it some forethought ahead of time and get the house looking as much as possible like a model house. if only for photo time, knowing that you'll have to put some things back. It's very common for people to rent storage spaces so that things can be removed and not brought back. I've oftentimes sold houses where people will have the pod delivered and they have it filled up and taken away, sometimes even shipped to the next place they're going if they're moving out of state. So just some things to think about. When the photographer's coming, be ready and you'll be glad that you prepared that way. I'm Seay with Seay Real Estate here in Richmond, and I hope you have a great week.